What is up, guys? Thanks for tuning back in with Digging Diesel. And we are in the first gen today. What we have in store is I'm going to be doing a first gen versus second gen video. I'm going to be going over a little bit of the differences with the trucks. We're going to put them side by side. I'm also going to go over the things I personally like about the trucks and some of the things I personally don't like about the trucks. Should be a fun little video. I'm going to be leaving the farm here in a little bit, and I actually got to go pick up the second gen and get some diesel fuel for it because it's low. So yeah, it should be a fun little video. Stay tuned. Also, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. That'd be awesome. And if you haven't yet, go to diggingdiesel.com, check out all of our merch, and we got some cool stuff on there. Alright guys, I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, starting off, since we are in the first gen, I'm just going to kind of, while I'm driving, go over what I like about this truck as opposed to the black second gen. Right off the bat, the driving experiences are entirely different. When you have this leaf spring solid axle truck, there are a couple things. The steering feels a lot different. Personally, to me, it feels a lot tighter, and it feels a little better driving on the highway. I'm just shutting this gate here. Okay. It feels a lot tighter on the highway when you're driving it, even with the larger tires. The only difference in the setup that I can see is on the second gen you have coilovers and control arms, as opposed to this you have leaf springs with a solid axle. I do have a steering dampener on this, which I think helps, that I don't have on the second gen. So that's the first thing. There's two differences, the driving experience. As far as the brakes on the second gen feel better than the first gen. All the rotors are good. They all have new rotors and pads. But for some reason, the brakes on the second gen feel better, as opposed to the difference in the transmissions. I mean, the first gen, it drives good. It's got a low enough gear ratio. It goes on the highway pretty well. It doesn't have the overdrive transmission. I believe this has that 727 torque flight in it, as opposed to the second gen that has the overdrive transmission. Highway RPMs, the gear ratio in the second gen has 411s, this has 307s. They do about the same RPM on the highway, going about the same amount of speed. If you had to compare them together, I think the first gen might get a little better mileage. I'm not sure. They're pretty close. And but you can definitely feel a difference in the amount of power that you have per gear. Even with the larger tires on the first gen, it's got a lot of power. You feel the power through each gear. It's not bogging out in between shifts or anything. And the same with the second gen, with the overdrive. Some of the other differences is the, I'd probably think on the the springs in the back. I don't know what's different with the second gen and first gen springs, but the lift, or the when you hit a bump in the second gen, it's pretty unforgiving. It really, hits your back hard. Though with the second gen you don't feel it at all. It's a lot more smoother drive. That's definitely a plus to the second gen. Also, another difference with the two trucks is the second gen has a little bigger gas tank than the first gen. I don't know why that is. I assume it's just so you can drive longer, but it doesn't necessarily get better mileage. I drove 160 miles on one tank with that second gen, and I've probably drove, I forgot to set my trip meter, but I think I've probably drove about 200 on this tank so far. So, 50 extra miles out of a smaller tank. I mean, if you do the math, the first gen's obviously getting a little better mileage. So, also, I'm going to go back to a couple things I like about the first gen. I like that it's an old truck. I mean, it's only 4 years older than the second gen, but it feels completely different. It feels a lot more nostalgic and just that old school vibe that you get with driving these trucks. Personally, I think they're built a lot better and they feel a lot more rigid and higher quality in the second gens, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. As long as they wouldn't run, I'm happy with that. I like that the second gen is intercooled as opposed to the first gen, which isn't. I definitely noticed a difference in EGTs, and it sounds like it runs a little better than the first gen does. Just a little bit. It idles a little higher. The first gen isn't a P7100 pump truck. It's just got the old lift pump on it. So I don't know if that makes a difference with how they run. I would think so, maybe. Difference in like dimensions. You can feel the cab of the first gen is a lot smaller. It's a lot less spacious than the second gen. That's one of the positives I like about the second gen is, it's pretty spacious. You don't feel like you're short on room. That's what I like about it. So that's definitely a positive there. One of the negatives I don't like about the second gen is it's got 35s on it and it barely clears those. Pay attention to your steering just so you don't rub. It's really annoying where the first gen it barely rubs on the 37. So I don't know why they made the wheel wells. I've put them together. They seem a lot different, a little bigger on the first gen. I love that the trucks are both 12 valves. I was never a huge diesel guy a few years ago until I got this first gen, which I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the 12 valve and basically just everything that these trucks are capable of if you decide to go that route with them. I do like that the second gen has the computer. You can throw a tuner on it if you want to go that route. I don't really feel the need to. I'm not towing, I'm not racing, I'm not doing any of that, so it doesn't really matter to me as long as it runs good and is reliable. The differences with the trucks. The first gen's a little more built. It doesn't have the 7100 pump on it, but it's got injectors, it's got head studs, it's got a bigger turbo. So you can definitely feel the little difference. It's a little more responsive. It takes a little longer to build boost than the stock turbo on the second gen. But what I feel with the second gen is the stuff that's been done to that, as far as I know, it's got a little bigger injectors and the fuel plate's been shifted or moved forward a little all the way. So it doesn't have a bigger fuel plate on it, just a stock fuel plate, and it doesn't have head studs on it. Just that and the stock turbo, they spool up faster. It's pretty responsive as well, and it shifts good. It's got some torque for sure. And one of the other things that I don't like about the first gen is all the wiring problems they've had ever since I've bought this truck. I've had to replace almost 5 voltage regulators about every 2 months. And I don't drive this truck every day, and that's not putting a lot of miles on those. So it's kind of annoying that you're planning to go on a trip and you have to keep an extra voltage regulator in the truck to make sure that you're not gonna need one. So that's kind of annoying. That's really the only thing I have to complain about this truck. The second gen, it seems to keep voltage. It doesn't run high or anything. Also, another negative about the first gen right now is it does have a lift on it, and I am needing to get a front drive shaft made. Since I've had this truck, it's been 2-wheel drive, but since I've had it, it's never been off-road. So for the second gen, has the 4-wheel drive capability, which is nice. The difference also is the locking hubs. The first gen's got locking hubs, the second gen doesn't. So that was the main difference I noticed right off the bat. Also, keep in mind, if you're on the fence on, you know, what truck you would want to get, whether a first or a second gen, I mean, in all honesty, I feel more confident with the first gen. These old trucks were built to last. They were built right, especially if you put a little money in them, into the right aspects to make these trucks run more efficiently. I highly doubt you would be disappointed. But it also comes down, for me, it came down to aesthetics first. You know, how the trucks looked, what they would look like lifted, what they look like with some nice tires on them. And don't get me wrong, I like the second gens. They look nice too. It's all about preference. And whether you want a injection or a P7100 pump truck, 12 valve, or just a regular lift pump, it just depends on what you're wanting to do with that truck. Alright, we're just getting back to the house, and I'm gonna go grab the second gen, and we're gonna go get some fuel, and then we'll be back at the house, and we'll be put the trucks next to each other and kind of just compare some things and finish up the video. Alright, catch you there. Yeah, we're just at the gas station, and you know how it is. Fucking people taking up the diesel pump. Annoying. We're gonna go over his like engine layout. I mean, air intake's in a different spot here. And you have your intercooler. You have your intercooler. And you have your charge pipe. And then you have your P7100 or your P pump. And then your computer's back in there, and the air intake, or your PCM. The cab layout's obviously different. You know, a lot of plastic stuff. The dash in this truck is cracked, but it's a lot more spacious. You know, you have the space behind the seats. You have your center console. You have a little more headroom too, it looks like, which is nice. Power windows. So it's got the stock turbo. And it's got no head studs on it. Just regular head studs, stock head studs. Stock intake manifold. You know, stock intercooler charging pipes. But it does have, if you look down in there, underneath that, that's where the fuel plate is. It's in there, a stock grid heater. I do a grid heater delete, but this truck's kind of hard to start as it is, so. But the master cylinders are different. I'll show you the ones on the first gen. My intake system. Here's the cab layout at the first gen. You know, it's kind of similar, but not. You don't have as much space behind the seats as in the second gen. It's not as spacious of a cab. But the dashes, I think, are nicer on these. It gives you that more old school vibe. You get the paint match door panel here. Or it's part of the door actually. This is the actual door panel. But both the trucks have black headliners and gray interiors. We'll pop the hood. I'll show you the difference too. Two big differences on how the trucks sound is, here, let me pop this open real quick. The black truck has a 5-inch turbo back exhaust running out of a 6 or 7-inch tip. Now this truck here, it's not intercooled, but it has an upgraded turbo, injectors. It's got ARP head studs on it. And it's not a P-pump truck. Just got the stock lift pump on it. Also has the old school brake master cylinder setup. This truck's running a 4-inch turbo back exhaust coming out of an 8-inch tip. Axled up. Tire on it. And you can see I have pretty good clearance as far as that goes, which is nice. The difference in the suspension setups is all I have is a shock and leaf springs. I do have a steering stabilizer, which helps. But this is what a solid axle truck with leaf springs and shocks is like. Blowers with upper and lower control arms, which makes the ride a little softer. But you can see these wheel wells. These wheel wells here are a lot smaller, and those are 35s. They do not clear. I'm always rubbing right there. That's where it's always hitting. So, pet peeves. Alright guys, I really do appreciate you tuning in. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you'd like. Leave a comment on what truck do you like best and what truck do you want to see more on the channel, and I'll make it happen. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys. First gen or second gen, let me know guys which ones you like, and I'll look forward to hearing from you. Alright, take care. See you in the next video.